Welcome to Adam Does Movies Live. It's Friday. It's Friday fun night. It's 10:30. I'm starting on time, which is nice. I was almost delayed because I was really excited about the prospect of a sponsorship. I get sponsorships from time to time in email form. They come over, they say, "Hey, Adam, Booby, what are you thinking about promoting this Razor or this 4K projector or whatever?" And I got one today, and I was like, wow, they're upfront with the price, which is a little sketchy, but fair. They're up with the price. They're putting themselves out there. I responded saying, yeah, let's do this. And then they sent over a zip file for me to open for the contract and some of the assets. I opened the file. I was a little nervous about it because it just something felt wrong. You know, usually that's not how this goes. There's a bit more back and forth, push and pull. But I opened it, and inside was a video of the company and a logo of the company, and then a executable file, a .dmg for Mac users. And so that was game over. So I knew at that point, okay, yep, they're gonna install some malicious software on my computer. This was too good to be true. And I think I gave them like one final email. It was like, hey, thanks for being, jerks. There's a lot of terrible people in the world. I guess that's the short of it. There's a lot of bad people out there. They're going to try to take advantage. So tread very lightly. Don't ever open a executable file DMG. Really, even opening the zip was a kind of a stupid thing for me to do, because at that point I'm already giving a command saying, yeah, like, come on in. Water's warm. As I'm recording, as I'm going live, I see that I have very weak connection. Hopefully it's not terrible on your end. That's kind of unfortunate. Usually we have full bars when we do this, but my neighbor is putting in a pool, and they're doing a lot of digging. They're tearing up grass. They're whipping crap everywhere. There's sawdust all over my house. It's really a fun experience, mainly for me. They're getting a nice pool for the whole fam, and I'm getting my yard ripped up and a bunch of sawdust and granite and stuff, everywhere. Hello to everyone. People are saying that it sounds okay, so that's good. The topic after this kind of long interlude, this little rant, is going to be on the top 10 most overrated movies of all time, and that's for me. That's for me. I hear someone walking. Hello? You're fine. I'm okay? Okay, Lindsay says I'm okay. Keep in mind, Lindsay, this does go up on audio version on the podcast, so let's try to keep the interruptions at a bare min, short for minimum. She's not... Okay, she's yelling across. She says, read the comments, which I did. So again, I feel like every time Lindsay checks in to give an okay, I've already kind of established it on my own, but there's a delay on the stream. That's fine. This is what a married couple does on a Friday night. We go in different rooms, and then we yell at each other through doors. It's the most depressing Friday night I could ever imagine, but at least you're sharing it with me, and that's all that really matters. Speaking of sharing in a Friday night sadness, or live stream, I guess, sadness, before I get to the topic that I've now meandered through. I did see Dumb Money the other night. I did a back-to-back, kind of a Barbenheimer situation, except for it was, what would we call it? Dumb X, Saw Money. I'm not sure how you combine Saw 10 and Dumb Money, but I saw them both back to back. I put out YouTube short reviews and I enjoyed them both. Saw 10, I enjoyed on a superficial level because it's really dumb, but there's some gore, there's some good kills, and that's really all I was looking for. The Dumb Money, though, was a genuinely good movie. I have a review going out for that. I don't know. Did I do a review for that yet? No, I didn't. I'm going to put the review out tomorrow, hopefully. I have a few things to shoot and put out. My creator video review, the long form one, is delayed until tomorrow. I have to shoot some more of it because I filmed it and realized I didn't talk about my favorite part of the movie, and that was the gentleman 4 seats down that was on his phone the whole time. So I got to have a fun little, post-credit scene talking about him for a couple minutes. That'll be fun. Okay, now to the topic at hand. We have top 10 most overrated movies of all time. This is my personal list, and I always like to put a lot of little disclaimers on it. I don't even outright hate some of these movies. Some of these movies are okay, are pretty good. It ranges from bad to pretty good. And I just think they're overrated for a lot of. Perm is saying the video is randomly freezing now and then, but audio is fine. Well, okay. I mean, I guess the audio being fine is all we can hope for. I can't help my internet right now. The pool is going in, though. Pool's having no problems. All the problems are on my side. All the problems that he did invite me to swim in it when it's done. I hope to not be here anymore, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'll swim in your pool. Yeah, I'll swim in your pool in hell. Doesn't even make sense. All right, let's get on to it because I'm not gonna lie, I was up till 2 a.m. the other day. Just everything over at the Olinger house is a complete shit show. Nothing is freezing on Lindsay's end, she says, who's also using the same crappy. Hey, sweetie, honey pie, Lindsay, maybe you shouldn't be live streaming this on your phone and the internet won't have as much work to do if you don't have Netflix running, which I'm guessing you also have going right now. And you probably have something going on your computer and on your phone. And so it just doesn't know. It doesn't know what needs all of the assets and all the bandwidth. Just a thought. Throwing it out there. Okay, on to the list. Let's begin. And of course, super chats are welcome. They're the name of the game. I like to ignore the main chat and just focus on supers because, again, it's a Friday night, and this is what I'm doing for you. I'm here for you. So help me help you keep the live streams going. Tuesday nights, Friday nights, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not Central Time. Those are two different times combined. Island Twigs in the mix. Shane, it's good to see you, dude. I gotta give you a call. We gotta chat. Got things to talk about. Okay, let's go on to. Oh, I'm gonna keep adding little things on top of it. My first one's a doozy, so strap in. I'm gonna get some anger issues on this, and people are gonna be mad. Let's do it. Yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home, for the audio-only listeners out there, is on my list. This isn't ranked. This isn't rated. Spider-Man No Way Home, I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. So on Letterboxd, arbitrary review. I don't really take a lot of stock in my reviews that I put. Like, the scores don't mean much to me. But this is a dumb movie that has a lot of fan service, which is fine. I like fan service. I'm a fan. But the story, the plot is terrible. It's atrocious. And the fact that this is kind of like regarded as one of the MCU's finest just is kind of sad, I guess, about the MCU. If that's the state of things. This isn't top 10 for me in the MCU. It was great seeing the classic Spider-Man come together, Andrew Garfield and Tobes Maguire, Bully Maguire, and Tom Holland all under one roof doing their thing. But I mean, I feel like the bar has been set so low for the MCU under Disney now that it's just kind of sad. Like, yeah, great. You got all three of them together for the last act of the movie. We could have had a whole film with these guys. We didn't need this really dumbass plot point about Tom Holland's Peter Parker not getting his friends into the college they want because he's Spider-Man. Nothing about that even made sense to begin with. But then you tack on Doctor Strange being incredibly incompetent and brazen with his spells. And yeah, it's just, it was such a dumb storyline. And I remember seeing the trailers and I thought, okay, this is a misdirect. They're not really doing this with the plot where Doctor Strange is like doing his spell, his craft, and Peter's like, Mr. Strange, I want Aunt May to remember me. I want this person to remember me. And Strange is like, you're fucking up the spell, kid. Shut up. And he's like, Mr. Strange, like pulling on his robes. And then the whole thing goes haywire. No. Bad. Very bad. Regardless of the hangups, there's enough small moments that do make the movie work in the end. A lot of great cameo villains in the mix. A lot of good action in the later half. But the overall is not that great. I'm sorry. I tried rewatching this with my family. My kids didn't see it when it hit theaters. They didn't have that nostalgia bait like I did with the older Spider-Mans. I don't know what the plural is of Spider-Man. So they just thought it was kind of long and it took a long time to get going. And even for me, it was a chore to get through again. So no, Spider-Man No Way Home is very overrated. Let's go to the next one on the list. This one takes us back a few years. And I'm going to say this, but I'm also going to compliment this movie. So the Blair Witch Project came out this was the 90s, right? What year did this? 1999. This was an amateur film, very, very low budget, shot on regular handheld cameras. They wanted it to feel as raw and intense as possible by having the actors actually walk around the woods and film it themselves. And they even had them add extra camera jerk and whatnot because regular folks don't know how to hold a fucking camera, they think. Like they're dropping the camera and kicking it around. It looks like it's filmed on the back of birds that they had clipped the wings of and were just smashing into trees and stuff. It looks terrible. It's filmed horribly by choice, but no one films like this. Like, Terry, what's going on? Camera's just everywhere. It's like super zoomed into the guy's nose. Comical. That said, I don't like this movie either, by the way. I'd never bought the hype of Blair Witch. My buddies dragged me out to the Dollar Theater to see it because I didn't want to go pay full price when it was in the main theater. Remember Dollar Theaters? I think they still exist, but the one by me, you're more likely to get shot than you are to have a good time watching the movie. I was just bitching the whole time having to go to that movie. I was kicking and screaming, and I thought maybe there's a chance this wins me over, but no, it was actually worse than I thought it would be. The only good thing about the movie is the final shot where the woman's in the corner looking away from everyone. That was creepy. And that was it. That's the entire film right there. I give it some credit. Actually, I give it a lot of credit for kind of pioneering the found footage style. It might not have been the first, but it was definitely the big one that went to theaters, that they had a brilliant marketing campaign behind, that people were like, this is real. This actually happened. And so people bought it and they went, saw the movie, and it was, later revealed, no, this is all bullshit. This was all just a beautiful marketing ploy. It worked though. And then we got some much better, I think, found footage films like Cloverfield, or even Paranormal Activity, I think is quite a bit better than this one. And they continue to come out once in a while. I enjoy Chronicle quite a bit. Thought we were going to get another Chronicle at some point, but I guess that ship has sailed. Yeah, that's my second pick, Blair Witch Project. Here's one that's fresh. And I know we're going to get a lot of disagreement on this one as well. Barbarian. Came out 2022. I think the director is Zach Kreger. He's kind of beloved in the community, indie director. He's done a lot of comedy stuff. Barbarian out of the gates was getting high marks, 90% Rotten Tomatoes. It's somewhere high like that still. And I believe the hype. I went in thinking, okay, this is A24. they're hit and miss, but when they hit really hard, and people are really talking this thing up. It's scary, it's intense, it's different. It's some of those things. It's certainly different, but not in the ways that I liked. I fucking hate this movie. I just do not like this film. I don't get this film. People, I don't think anybody gets this film because they all have interpretations that are wildly different from each other. Someone will say, "Oh, no, 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 no. It's supposed to be a parody." Well, a parody of what? No, it's supposed to be a comedy thriller, or it subverts expectations. You think it's going to go this way. Well, yeah, I get that. It definitely subverted expectations. I was expecting a good, competently made movie, and instead I got this circle jerk. I don't even know what to say. It goes completely insane. And for some people, that's enough. Like, yeah, there's a giant malnourished woman with her giant tits flopping around down in the cellar, eating people, throwing people into little dens that she can nurse back to health. Or I don't know. The guy that made the tunnels is somehow still down there. Then it goes full-blown Looney Tunes. She gets hit by a car. She jumps off a water tower, somehow manages to spin mid-air, mind you, while falling, and gets up and leaves. I just, the movie drives me insane. It drives me insane. I don't want to think about it, and yet I brought it up. We have our first super chat of the night, which I appreciate. $9.99, Matt. Thank you, Matt. The Sixth Sense is his pick. I know everyone loves the twist, but that's all it's got. Horrible rewatch. Too many plot holes. Matt, I'm going to be honest with you. I've only seen The Sixth Sense one time. I feel like I would not like it if I watched it again for probably the reasons you're saying. I could kind of see the first time around when it was done, thinking back how the wheels were coming off. So I'm happy with the experience I had in the theaters. I saw that with my mom and dad. I was probably a sophomore in high school at the time. I'm thinking around there. And it was just a magical experience. Nobody saw this twist coming. And yes, it probably doesn't make any sense if you think about it. but when we saw it, it did make sense, at least to an extent, right? It tricked our brains into thinking, okay, yeah, maybe it is plausible that this boy's having conversations with himself and nobody seems any the wiser, or that Bruce Willis doesn't realize he's, whatever. The movie's really old, but for some reason I don't want to spoil it. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Good pick. The Sixth Sense. I can't defend it nor agree with you. I'm in limbo on Sixth Sense. It's been too long since I've seen it. All right, if I haven't been spicy enough yet, let's get to the next one on my list. This might rub people the wrong way. But they're overrated for me, right? They're overrated for me. This is a movie devoid of laughs. It's a film that's presented as a comedy. I never laughed once. The only time I think I chuckled was when he did the God, and that was about it. Just how he said the God. And I don't think does that actor even do anything anymore? They try to kind of make John Heder. They try to make John Heder a thing for a while. I remember he was in Blades of Glory with Will Ferrell. I think he was in a wrestling movie at one point, and then just completely off the face of the earth after that. Maybe he's doing fine, doing stuff. I mean, I hope so. I hope he's doing acting and still keeping up. But this was very much a huge disappointment. And I felt like it was one of those movies where it was cool to like it. It felt like it was this indie movie that maybe was a little secretive at first, where people knew of it, but not mainstream knew about it. So like, have you seen Napoleon Dynamite? 9 times out of 10, people say no. And they're like, oh man. I remember specifically where I watched this film. It was at my cousin's house. It was kind of a family get together. So there was probably a baker's dozen of us sitting around the couches watching Napoleon Dynamite. You could hear a pin drop in that room for almost the entire length of the movie. Nobody was laughing, yet they all pretend like it's this funny ass, hilarious movie from beginning to end. And nobody's laughing. Nobody's laughing at a comedy. It boggles my mind. Napoleon Dynamite, incredibly overrated. Quirky, sure, but I've seen quirky. Ugh, speaking of quirky, This one's going to piss my wife off. My wife's a big Matilda fan. I'm not. I don't care for Matilda. Based on the Roald Dahl book, however you say the author. This is directed by Danny DeVito, came out in 1996. I just, I don't think I've ever finished this movie. I hate how it's filmed. And I get that DeVito's going for kind of this surreal child's eye view of the happenings around her. So everything has like a fisheye lens style to it. It's very zany. Things are very frantic. People are kind of like doing that like earnest thing where they're up at the camera and their nose is big and elongated. And I don't like the look of the movie. I find it atrocious. I didn't find it funny. I hate the cafeteria lady that became a thing. And now we have people just celebrate this film kind of like Hocus Pocus, which is another one that I don't care for. Hocus Pocus could be on my list as well. Hocus Pocus should be on my list as well, but it's not. It's not. Matilda is, though. Matilda is. Next up, Avatar, The Way of Water. Not even The Way of Water. The Way of Water. That doesn't even make sense. That's not even a sentence. The Way of Water. Shut up, James Cameron. You failed me, dude. You failed me. I hate this movie. And it's not that I'm disappointed. I legitimately hate this movie. I'm nice on the first one, right? Avatar, state-of-the-art tech. It's doing new things. Has a very generic, bland Dances with Smurfs plot. Fine. I throw it out. I forget it. It's got Cameron's name on it. I'm in. It's got some cool action. It's got some sci-fi appeal to it. I have not finished that movie for the life of me ever again. I watched Avatar once in theaters, blown away by the tech, brought it home, got it on Blu-ray. No 3D. No 3D, no soup for you kind of a situation. No 3D for you. And it's just unwatchable in my opinion. It's far too long. It's far too bland. And Jake Sully is maybe the lamest lead character ever to grace the silver screen. Now you take that and multiply it by 2 and you have Avatar, The Way of Water. This movie is tonally ridiculous. I don't understand the plot at all. At one point, we're resurrecting all the villains from the first film, which kind of undercuts the entire point of the Avatar program. At another point, they're extracting some sort of fountain of youth from whales. We got a bunch of whalers. Is it turned into a Greenpeace film? Listen, I'm all for saving the animals, but Avatar 2, what the fuck is the point? Make up your mind on the direction you're going. And then you have these kids that somehow became infused with like black urban culture. They all have like black hairstyles. They're all saying like they sound like they came out of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air all of a sudden. I don't understand any of this film. It's just a shit show. And that's just some of the problems I have with Avatar 2. As it stands, the movie was praised by critics again. I know a lot of people that enjoy this film. They like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's just bloated, overlong, tedious stuff to watch. And there's just really not that much story to tell. There's not much there. All right, let's move on. Okay. I'm not going to have a whole lot to say on this movie other than this is a film, Mystic River, directed by Clint Eastwood, 2003, that had a really good trailer that hooked me. And I remember going to the movies and being so utterly pissed as I was watching this film play out, how I was misled by those trailers. I thought I was getting the story of Sean Penn as a reeling father looking for his daughter, and it would kind of be solving the mystery of who killed her. But instead, it's this bizarre kind of mob family who's taking out Tim Robbins and kind of going on a tear. And then he's like, I'm going to run this city. This city is going to be mine. It turns into some bizarre gangster Godfather shit. I hated that. I did not like the route this movie took. and it's very overrated in my opinion. I can't tell you much else about it because I tried to wipe it from my memory after seeing it in theaters, but it haunts me still. It comes back and it haunts me. I still remember that awesome trailer where Sean Penn's like, "Is that my daughter in there? Is that my daughter in there?" Yeah, Sean, it is. You go to her. You redeem what happened. Freaking Mystic River. Okay, this is the only one on my list, The Deer Hunter, 1978, that I believe was entirely created for an Academy Award and nothing else. This is a film I was told over many decades in my life before seeing this movie that it's brilliant. It was up for Academy Awards. It's obviously got Willem Dafoe. It's got Christopher Walken, Robert De Niro in that iconic scene. I don't know if De Niro's in the scene. I know Christopher Walken's in it. They do the Russian roulette. They spin the chamber. They put the gun to their head. If it's got a bullet, they're dead. If not, they pass it on. That's the only good scene in this entire bloated ass movie. It's got to be it's probably like 2.5 hours long. It feels like it's 8 hours long. They try to be like Godfather with a really drawn out introduction, but these characters are not interesting like the characters in The Godfather. And this movie is just a chore to watch. It just reeks of award season schlock. And that's what I say. And this is my list, so I can say it. Jan Rose with a $5 super chat. You love to see it. Pretty Woman. Oof. Why is anyone into this movie? It's so ridiculous and unrealistic AF. I can't stand rom-coms anyways. Okay, random rant ended. No, Jan, you're right to think that. I don't care for Pretty Women either. Pretty Women, Little Women and Pretty Woman. I don't care for it. And I think you're right to be upset. I think you're right to be upset by that. Really, all we got out of that entire film is the necklace snapping. When he reveals the jewelry, she tries to grab it, and Richard Gere smacks it down. She's like, "Oh!" That's it. And I can watch Family Guy and see that, and it's much better. Thank you, Jan, for the super chat. Let's move on past the freaking Deer Hunter bullshit. Okay, this is another one that's not too old, but the wounds are still fresh. And I do not, keep in mind, I don't hate this movie. I found Joker to be fine. 2019, Todd Phillips, Joker. Joaquin Phoenix plays the titular clown, the clown prince. Robert De Niro's in this one too. What do you know? This was just artsy fartsy with a little bit too much of a Fight Club twist for my liking. And I saw it coming a mile away, unlike with Fight Club, which I did not see coming even 20 miles away. Fight Club's awesome. As a side tangent, when I was coming up with my overrated list, I did Google what other people thought were overrated movies to get some inspiration, see if I agreed. I didn't agree with most of them. And let me tell you, I would say I clicked on probably 8 different lists and they were 75% the same, which just goes to show you how little creativity and free thinking there is on the internet when you can just plagiarize other people's stuff. Now, obviously, overrated movies are going to be super popular. So maybe there was just a lot of crossover thought, but I don't think so. I think they just straight up ripped each other off because I saw Fight Club on most of those lists. It pissed me off. I saw Frozen on most of those lists. I mean, come on, Frozen. It's a very fine movie. It's got super catchy music. It's got lovable characters, beautiful animation. It's not overrated. It's rated right where it needs to be. It's iconic. It's a timeless classic that it was a classic as soon as that damn song hit YouTube. Let it go, let it go. Oh man, that song is brilliant. It's bloody brilliant. Fucking overrated. Shut up. Oh, someone had Jaws on their list. There was one list, to be fair, that basically was like, what's every really popular good movie? I'm going to put it on my list just because. Just because. Okay, we got another one from Jeff Lucas for $9.99. Thank you, Jeff. 100% agree with you about Avatar. I remember when the first one came out, people were leaving the theater shaking, crying, and saying things like, I belong in Pandora. Felt like a weird cult. I did not do that. I should be there. I should be in Pandora. Yeah, that's hilarious. But Jeff, I will say Avatar has not aged well at all because of what we have with number two. And just the fact that Avatar really was it's a roller coaster movie. You pay for the experience in theaters. You put on the 3D glasses. You're in a chair. You're surrounded with the plants and the animals and the music and the wonder, the spectacle. It's a ride, and that ride does not translate when you get home. So yeah, there you go. Joker though, yeah, this was just beautifully shot. I'll say that. Phoenix does a great job as the character, but he's not playing the Joker. All right. He's playing like a mentally disturbed individual that's going by the name Joker. And that's a big problem I have with this movie. It's just not connected in the slightest. Like Heath Ledger, I get they go off book a little bit. They take him very dark. Nolan tries to ground him, but he's still at his core a Joker type character. He's still all about causing chaos. He's still screwing around, doing the magic trick with the pencil. He's still laughing methodically. This Joker, though, by Phoenix, he's just mentally unwell and not in a fun, crazy like ha 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 ha. I'm causing chaos. No, he's just sick, and he needs help, psychological help. Maybe he'll get it from Mrs. Quinn in the sequel. Maybe Harley can calm him down because we have the second one coming out with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn. We'll see. I think she can do a good job. I just, this movie, another thing about Joker, I remember giving it, my honest thoughts, painting my picture, and people were vicious in the comments on this one. Like, fuck you. You probably like all the Avengers, Marvel stuff, blah, 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 blah. I'm not following you. I'm not subscribing. Okay, I don't care, first of all. Secondly, calm down. It's a movie. It's not that great either. It's not that great. Fucking Joker. Another recent one, 2021. Is this my last one on the list? There might be one more after this. I lost count. Ghostbusters Afterlife. This film, I think, was given pretty high marks by audiences and critics because it wasn't 2016's all-female Ghostbusters reboot, soft reboot. There was some marketing issues going on with that movie. I remember when it was considered a full-blown reboot, and then they added like the tagline, Ghostbusters, answer the call. And they kind of try to play out like it's a other worlds movie or it's a companion piece to the original. Just bad, all around bad. But Ghostbusters Afterlife, instead of kind of keeping true to the spirit of the original series, where you have comedy and you have action and you got sci-fi stuff, they went all in on this Stranger Things drama that was popular. So we're following kids around, which could have been fine, but there's very little humor. And then they go full bore into nostalgia again at the end of this one. Once again, bringing back the Stay Puft characters. Once again, bringing back fucking Zool and the Gatekeeper. And then they have the goddamn ghost of Egon Spangler there. And that was the biggest insult to me. The movie up until that point was fine. It was okay. But once that scene happened where Egon comes out as a ghost and it's all touching and magical and half the audience is crying, I was livid about it because they weren't sad about Egon, the character. They were sad about Harold Ramis, who died not that long ago before the movie came out. They were just capitalizing on our actual... What's a good way to describe it? So every time there's a terrible disaster movie by Roland Emmerich, he did like Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow, 2012. I find them fun. They're super schlocky and cheesy, but he always uses major points of interest that everyone knows. Statue of Liberty, the White House, the Empire State Building, and he destroys the fuck out of them. We're not sad. Like it elicits emotion that you're not really getting from the movie itself. You're getting it from the history of knowing what that thing is. And that's why he does that. And plus it looks cool. But this is the same thing with the ghost of Egon. They use this because we're not feeling sad that we're seeing Egon. We're sad because we're seeing Harold. And that's bullshit. And I don't like that. That's all. That's my rant on it. I thought that was super cheap, super lame cop-out. and not the way I want to see the Ghostbusters. It also was incredibly funny that we find out Harold's kind of a deadbeat dad and grandpa, and none of this would have actually happened at all had he not contacted his granddaughter, showed her where the proton pack was and stuff. He's essentially the reason any of this even happened to begin with. Okay, that's it. Wait, I'm missing one on here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we have 10. I have one extra bonus one I'm going to throw in. One extra bonus one. I don't need a video for it. I'm just gonna say it. Okay. The last one I want to point out, and please feel free to super chat any overrated movie you have. I'll read it out. We'll give you a shout out, and I'll comment if I've seen it. I'll disagree with you if I disagree, or I'll agree with you if I agree. My last one is Ralph Breaks the Internet, the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. It's atrocious. The story is terrible. Everybody shat on the Emoji Movie for being unapologetic corporate greed product placement. Ralph Breaks the Internet says, hold my beer. This movie has so much garbage. It's got Twitter placement. It's got Pinterest, plus all the Disney stuff it's promoting. And on top of that, which I can overlook, I don't really care about that so much, the story's terrible. It undercuts the message of the first film by Ralph accepting who he is and Vanellope becoming the driver that she always wanted to be, by having her abandon her game, which was the entire point of the first film. Don't abandon your post. Don't get your game shut down. And then she does the same thing. And Ralph's like, that's fine. I'll do it too. Like, what the fuck? No. And then it just gets worse from there as it goes on. The meme jokes are outdated. It's tiring to sit through, all around bad. I've never thought about that movie outside of just now. It's Wreck-It Ralph, and then nothing comes after. That's the bottom line for me. And that's the bottom of this list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, I didn't make people too upset. Again, this is just personal preference. Movies are subjective at the end of the day, and that's what makes them fun. But these are some of the more popular, higher rated reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. People seem to like these films, and I don't like most of them, or I think that they're just a tad overstuffed, overcooked. Spider-Man No Way Home being the one that I think is the most praised out of like the MCU, and it's just it's not that great. It's not that great. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to get any super chats in of movies you want. I can give you a couple thoughts of mine before I shut this thing down. We have an upcoming roast. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, maybe not the end of tomorrow. I'm hoping mid-afternoon, like 4 or 5 o'clock. We get a 20, 25, 30-minute roast of Street Fighter the movie. That was a request right here, actually. Someone super chatted and said, Adam, I want you to do, it was a $100 super chat. I want you to destroy Street Fighter the movie, and destroy I shall. I'm recording it tomorrow, and then there's a pretty heavy editing process. I also have to edit and get out my review for, what was that movie that I just saw? Dumb Money and The Creator. Those ones are locked in the chamber. I got to fire them off onto YouTube. You have the shorts that you can watch in the meantime if you want. Next week, I have a Patreon Mithril request that's been a long time in the works. Well, not a long time in the works. A long time me avoiding it. I got to get to it. He wanted me to watch Tomorrowland, which I have seen. It's a nice little Disney film that bombed at the box office. No one gave it any time of day. It's a good film, directed by Brad Bird. George Clooney's in it, if that's your cup of tea. But it's a nice little movie. But he then decided, hey, Adam, maybe don't just make it a review, make it a rant about how Disney seems to be doing less of these original ideas, or audiences are kind of changing how they're doing things, or something around that. And so I'm going to have a podcast on that very topic, how Disney and audiences are kind of playing each other and forcing each other's hands. Like, hey, here's some original content, audience doesn't see it. Then Disney says, here's a remake of something, audience goes. So that tells Disney, okay, let's just keep cash grabbing. Let's ignore the original content that we have. That's actually pretty good. It's a shame. So I'll be going through kind of a history lesson of that. Outside of that, yeah, I'm not sure what's on the docket. I think that there's some decent stuff coming up. Napoleon comes out next month. I don't know what October brings as far as the scares go, but I'll keep you informed. We'll do it again on Tuesday. Next Tuesday is the next live stream. Monday is the podcast. Outside of that, I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. I appreciate the super chats that came in. Thanks for watching, and have a good night. I'm out.